All right, we are now back in session. We have all 19 active grand jurors here in this courtroom. To all of you, please raise your right hand to be sworn. Madam Clerk, please administer the grand jury oath.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of California and all laws made pursuant to and in conformity therewith, that you will diligently inquire into and a true presentment make of all public offenses against the people of this state committed or triable within this county, of which the grand jury shall have and or obtain legal evidence. Further, that you will not disclose any evidence brought before the grand jury, nor anything which you or other grand jurors may say, nor the manner in which you or any grand juror may have voted on any matter before the grand jury, and that you will keep the charge that will be given to you by the court.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you please acknowledge that the juror participating via Zoom and any in the other second courtroom have responded, I do?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have selected a grand jury foreperson. I would like to introduce Linda Akers. She has been selected as our 2021-2022 grand jury foreperson. At this time, I will now administer the charge to the grand jury. You have been selected to serve as members of the grand jury of Butte County during this term. You have first been selected by computer, then by application to serve from the jury commissioner, then by personal interviews by judges of the Superior Court, and now by drawing names from the jury wheel. You represent different geographical, economic, and social interests in our county. It is my duty under the law to instruct you concerning your function as a grand jury and to discuss rules of law that apply to your work. At the outset, I would like you to bear in mind that the institution of the grand jury is one of very ancient origin. Its use as an instrument of government precedes its introduction into our country during colonial times. It has been continued and used throughout the whole of our American history. The grand jury is one of the few aids of government wherein the proceedings are required by law to be secret. The grand jury is designed not only to ferret out offenses that would not be acted upon because of the unwillingness or the inability of individuals to present the complaints, but also to protect persons from the publicity of a trial for charges that might eventually prove to be unfounded. Under Penal Code Sections 924.1 and 924.2, every member of the grand jury must keep secret the business of the grand jury, or they may be guilty of a misdemeanor. Under Penal Code Sections 919 and 920, you may inquire into the case of every person imprisoned in the county jail on a criminal charge and not indicted. You shall inquire into the condition and management of the public prisons within the county, and you shall inquire into the willful misconduct in office of public officers of this county. You may investigate into all sales and transfers of land which might or should escheat to the state of California, and you shall investigate the operations and records of the departments of the county. Under Penal Code Sections 927 and 928, the grand jury may investigate and report upon the needs for increase or decrease in salaries of the county's elected officials. You may investigate and report upon the needs of all county officers, including the abolition or creation of offices and the equipment for performing the duties for the several offices. You shall submit a final report of your findings and recommendations to the assigned grand jury judge of the Superior Court. California laws found in the Code of Civil Procedure, Government Code, penal code, and others that pertain to the duties and functions of the grand jury will be made available to you, and you are to familiarize yourself with them. Finally, during your period of service, you may be asked to listen to evidence presented by the district attorney on criminal matters and determine if there is sufficient evidence to present an indictment to the Superior Court. I wish to point out to you clearly that the grand jury is not intended to be and should not itself be viewed as a super government for this county. It is not the function of the grand jury to interfere with the discretionary policy-making powers of public officials. Only when public officials violate applicable criminal or procedural laws or so abuse their discretion as to violate the spirit and intent of those laws do they become proper subjects for comment or action by the grand jury. To the extent that our law provides for examination for certain purposes, make your inquiry to achieve the purpose of the statute. The grand jury is a deliberative body. Although each grand juror does have the right and duty to act and vote according to the dictates of their own judgment, they should do only so after deliberation with all grand jurors. It is important that each grand juror fully state to all grand jurors any information they receive relative to actual or possible subjects of inquiry. Before action of any kind is voted on, discuss the evidence upon which the action is proposed. While you should never surrender your individual opinion because of the opinion of other jurors or for the sole purpose of reaching a decision, do not hesitate to change your opinions when you are convinced that your original view was unsound. By reason of your membership on the grand jury, you may be approached by individuals who will seek to engage you in discussion concerning matters within your field of inquiry or action. They may be seeking to obtain information for their own purposes or for or against some course of action in which they are interested, or they may give you information orally or by letters. In these situations, it is your duty to keep your own counsel and to look for information given in good faith. It will be well for you to always be on your guard and to avoid disclosure and commitments. Your written reports should be factual. Occasionally, some jealous grand juries, without proper understanding of their duties, have returned reports to the court concerning matters beyond their powers of inquiry. And such reports contain unfounded criticisms, castigations, or innuendos of improper conduct on the part of private citizens or those engaged in public service. The publicity attendant to the filing of such reports has occasioned unfortunate consequences to accused persons who had no forum to establish their innocence. Any abuse of power adds to the sentiment to abandon our grand jury system. I trust that in a majority of the instances in which there has been such an abuse of power by a grand jury, it has come about because of an insufficient explanation by the court in the charge to the grand jurors as to their powers and duties, and of a failure on the part of the grand jury to individually and collectively know the law and to accept it as its guide. In accordance with the policy established by this court, I instruct you to deliver to me all grand jury reports prior to filing them, and I instruct the clerk of this court not to accept for filing any grand jury report until the assigned grand jury judge has approved it for filing. The success of your performance as a grand jury will not be judged by sensational publicity concerning your work as a body or concerning the comments of individual jury members, but by your diligence and by the efficiency of your proceedings. It is important that each grand juror bear in mind that you are a member of a body that consists of 18 others. For best results, we must work together with mutual tolerance, courtesy, and respect. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of all of us here at the Butte County Superior Court, I would like to thank all of you for attending the impanelment today. Please stay seated for your first meeting as grand jurors, as well as a court orientation. This will include distribution of manuals, ID badges, appropriate forms, committee information, prior grand jury report,